the Metal Hammer of Doom. I am your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich. He who writes the Hammer of Doom news report for 411 will be joining us shortly. Tonight, we are going to have our own little listening party. That's right. We're going to play the entire new album, first one of the year, Napalm Death, the Kings of Grindcore, ladies and gentlemen. Who am I kidding? Gentlemen. They have a new album out. Came out this past Tuesday, January 27th. Apext Predator, Easy Meat. And it's fantastic. So we're going to play those tracks for you tonight. A little bit, while we wait for the Coopster to head on here to the show, I'll go over the calendar of what's in store for us over the next couple of weeks. February 12th, 2 weeks from now, Blind Guardian, new album. Beyond the Red Mirror. So that'll be a fun one. Looking forward to Blind Guardian. Yeah, to the fax machine, as we say in the office. On the 26th, new Ensferum, One Man Army. So that's what we got in store here for the month of February. If there's an album, for those of you who are loyal to the show, have been listening for a while, if there's an album or a band you want us to cover, do a retrospective of whatever, go ahead and send me an email, mradulich, MRADULICH @gmail.com. Let me know what it is. I'll go over it with the Coopster, the Metal Coop, and we'll see if we can make that happen for you. I know one of the albums I'm looking forward to reviewing this year, because if you've been listening to the show for a while now, you'll know that sometimes the best shows that Robert and I do are the ones where we both hate an album. One that's so bad, we spend the entire 90 minutes of the show just making fun of it. So with that said, I have been waiting since last year with bated breath for Limp Bizkit to put out a new album. Yes. Disco Elephant, or whatever the hell it's called. They've released some tracks for it already. It was supposed to come out last year. It got delayed, I think, until March or April of this year. It's been steadily, for the last couple of months, set to be released sometime during then. So I'm greatly looking forward to Stampede of the Disco Elephants by Limp Bizkit, because I enjoy Robert Cooper when he's regretting starting this podcast with me. So what's going on in the world of metal? Ensferum is actually doing a tour. They're taking their one-man army tour to Russia. Slipknot has actually just announced a tour with Lamb of God. So I had to nudge my wife and tell her, like, hey, listen, Slipknot, Lamb of God, Bullet for My Valentine, they're coming here to Tampa this summer. You know what to get me for my birthday now. But I think Slipknot and another band that I wanted to see are actually doing a tour together. I want to say it's maybe Slipknot and Hatebreed. So the Slipknot's really busy touring on the new album. Let's see. Am I right about the Slipknot Hatebreed tour? Yep. Slipknot and Hatebreed tour announced spring dates, and then Slipknot goes on tour with Lamb of God after that. So if you're interested in the old knot and you're interested in seeing them with Hatebreed, this is a bizarre tour. And I need to talk about this. Because, there are obviously some cities that are, metal faithful. The cities you typically would want to take a tour to. Listen to some of the ones they're going to. Okay, it was like the Odd Man Out tour. Fort Myers, Florida, where the old people are. Jacksonville, Florida, where the prisons are. Pensacola, Florida, where the Alabama is. All right, New Orleans, Louisiana. All right, well, that one I understand. Pelham, Alabama. Concord, North Carolina. Knoxville, Tennessee. Bloomington, Illinois. Somerset, Wisconsin. Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Erie, Pennsylvania. Here on the Erie Canal. Scranton, Pennsylvania. Columbus, Ohio. And Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yes. April 25th through May 16th. That's the Slipknot Hatebreed tour. And unfortunately, I can't make any of the shows in Fort Myers, Jacksonville, or Pensacola. A little too far away for this father of two and full-time employee to get there. But I would have liked to have seen that one. That seems brotastic. However, they are coming out this summer with Lamb of God, and those dates, for those of you that are interested, they're starting in West Palm Beach, Florida. See, this makes better sense. July 24th. July 25th, they're at the Mid-Florida Credit Union Amphitheater. But that place has changed its name so many times. It used to be the 1-800-ASK-GARY Amphitheater, which won the award for silliest name of an outdoor amphitheater ever. And then they move on to Atlanta, Georgia, Detroit, Michigan, the Darien Center at New York Darien Lake Performing Arts, Saratoga Springs. Then they get the Jones Beach Theater in Wantagh, New York. Yes, Long Island. Hartford, Connecticut, Boston, Mass, Holmdel, New Jersey, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Toronto, Ontario, D.C., Virginia Beach, Indianapolis, Chicago, Illinois, St. Louis, Denver, Colorado, Salt Lake City, Vancouver, Concord, California, Las Vegas, Phoenix, Albuquerque, Austin, Houston, and Dallas. And so that takes us from July 24th through September 5th. As I said, you've got Slipknot there, you've got Lamb of God, Bullet for My Valentine, and then Motionless in White, who I have never heard of. So, like I did a summer or two ago, when I have the opportunity to go see the show, I will report on here all the metal happenings in the pit and elsewhere. All right, so without further ado, let me bring on my co-host. Here he is, folks, again, author of the Hammer of Doom News Report and transporter of illegal immigrants throughout the great state of North Carolina, Mr. Robert Cooper. How do you do?
Motionless in White. Another damn deathcore band.
Is that what that is?
Yeah, they're a deathcore band. Not a fan. They're kind of meh. They're very generic. Don't like generic deathcore. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of concerts, if I can convince my mom, which, that's a fucking shot in hell, Napalm Death's playing 15 minutes from my house tomorrow. So, I mean, Napalm Death is doomed.
You're a grown-ass man. What is this you got to convince your mom shit?
I don't own a car.
You have friends with cars.
Robert
Cooper, I know for a fact I have seen you riding in cars with boys.
Yeah, this is true. So I only have one friend. I have two friends that really love metal. One I need to talk to. The other one's, and I quote, going to be getting stuff ready for his girlfriend's birthday. I was like, damn, dude, really? Like, yeah, sorry.
You need to tell that homo that he needs to take you to the Napalm Death.
Right. I mean, it's Napalm Death, Voivod, Exhumed, and then 3 other bands for $20. That is a great fucking deal.
Now, look, if all your friends are like mine and a bunch of losers who won't go to the metal show, can you take the bus?
Can I pick them up?
No, can you take the bus?
I don't. Nah, the bus doesn't come around here. Nah, there is no bus. I mean, she might let me drive. It's all one of those. I gotta fucking kiss her ass. We'll see how this goes. I mean, it's like 15 minutes from my house. Hopefully, she'll be like, I mean, it's not gonna get stabbed. Hopefully, knock on wood. Knowing that, I'm gonna get stabbed.
Well, tell her you're borrowing the car to go out for cigarettes.
Well, usually that brings back bad memories for her, but I don't smoke. So. Yeah, that's But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try and talk to her because I just found out about this yesterday. Because Ziggy's, which apparently they're a really shitty venue because they don't book local bands, so they're kind of just pretty much stifling the metal scene around there. Yeah, they're assholes, but I mean, they occasionally get good concerts. Like, they got Clutch last year and Cannibal Corpse last year and Killswitch Engage last year. I had to work all those. So, also, speaking of Clutch, in May, Clutch are playing in Raleigh. The Clutch Graveyard in Mastodon.
Yep.
That's a pretty sweet-looking tour.
They're either not coming to Florida or they're just not coming anywhere near Tampa, from what I remember.
I have friends that will listen to those bands, so I'm going to talk to them, see if I can figure out. Cause, I mean, hell, Rush is playing Greensboro that month. So I probably won't be able to afford those tickets. Whoosh. But, I mean, yeah, there's a lot of good concerts coming, and my buddy Nick, the homo who's going with his girlfriend, like, they played with Hailstorm last night. Pretty cool.
You need to explain to him that he doesn't have to make a big deal out of her birthday. Women will stay with you no matter what.
Yeah, well, I don't know what he's going to be doing for it. He told me he's not leaving until fucking Saturdays. I don't know. I just worked here.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Clutch Mastodon tour dates again, and yeah, no Florida. No Florida dates for Wacky.
Surprising, because most bands come to Florida. Like, hell, most of them could get, like, fucking 4 dates from Florida. And Texas.
Well,
like
what I've noticed is they'll do one tour that comes to Florida, and then they won't do another tour again that comes to Florida until after that. Like, they kind of split up the country. Like, there are some dates that some places that they'll do every show, they'll do every tour, and then there's others where they only hit them like half the time. And they hit Florida earlier this year. They hit them like the beginning of January, and that was excuse me, that was the weekend of my daughter's birthday. So
we can't miss that.
No,
can't miss that.
You can't miss the daughter's birthday. All right.
Yeah.
So, January 27th. Actually, it started January 26th, and then they released it in various mediums over the course of a few days. Century Media. All right. Yeah. Century Media put out the latest Napalm Death album, Apex, Predator, Easy Meat. Napalm Death have been around forever, and
really,
much like, I mean, they are the kings of grindcore. If you've ever read the book American Metal, the history of heavy metal, when all these thrash bands and grindcore bands were sort of in a race to see who could play the fastest, Napalm Death won with You Suffer. After that, the race was over.
It was 2 seconds long. And the best part is their singer went to go play in Terrion.
Napalm Death has had a lot of different members over the years, but if there's but much like Slayer, you can pretty much count on, if you buy a Napalm Death album, there's a signature sound. They stick with it. They kind of add a little here, subtract a little there, but for the most part, you're getting a consistent sound with Napalm Death. Metacritic gave it 93 out of 100. I mean, most of the reviews for this have been pretty high. All Music, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 stars. Clash, 8 out of 10. Exclaim, 9 out of 10. Metal Sucks gave it 4 out of 5. Revolver, 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Pitchfork, 7.9 out of 10. The Quietus, I have no idea what that is. Favorable. And SF Media, 5 stars.
Nice.
So let's get into this. Now, this first track takes a little while to get going here, but I want to play them all. So we'll go ahead and just jump right in. This is the title track, Apex, Predator, Easy Meat. We Brana, we Ninny Bob. I'm sure that's going somewhere, but we don't have enough time for this.
Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, just
all right.
Once it got going, it was pretty good. I mean, hey, I guess it's nice to get something a little something different.
Yep. Let's not take any time because it goes right into one of the more popular songs on here. For what it's worth, this is "Smash a Single Digit." Okay, so between Apex Predator, Easy Meat, and Smash a Single Digit, you have a pretty good intro, in as far as setting a tone for creepiness, and then they go right into the traditional Napalm Death sound. Blast beats, that death metal growling, though you can somewhat make out what he's singing. What do you think?
I really liked it. Like for that first song, it built up a bit. I feel like it almost like a lyrical foundation for a lot of the album. And then as soon as it went right into, smash a single digit, reading the lyrics on that, because I tried to make sure to, read the lyrics as I was listening, even though it's kind of hard sometimes, It's really interesting because some, crunching numbers and rooting out steps and grinding gears. It felt almost like they're talking about corporate things. That's kind of what it said to me. It was talking about instead of smash a single digit, I was thinking like Cannibal Corpse here, like breaking fingers. Like, no, I think really it's about number crunching and getting rid of corporate people.
No, okay. Well, it's certainly in line with the times these days thematically. All right, let's go to, I love the name of this. Metaphorically Screw You. One of the things I've noticed about like modern grindcore and death metal is how conscious the band seem to be of the pit and writing songs that at least give an opportunity for guys to mosh it up. It isn't just that that straight blast beat for an entire 3 minutes with no rhythm or anything. The way Cannibal Corpse used to do their thing. And that's what I get with Napalm Death. There seems to be like a conscious effort to include at least a part of the song with that's got somewhat of a breakdown to it and allows people to do something other than run smashing into people.
Yeah, like funny thing, mosh pits. Did I ever tell the story about my best friend Nick's band, Avalon Steel, who are awesome, by the way? Their CD release show, that one thrasher kid who kept starting a pit at every song, even though there were about three to four people who were willing to start a pit in a room full of 20 to 30. Yeah. Like after the fourth, third song, I'm like, all right, so I kind of just shove them around a bit, have some fun with it, and then by about the the fifth song, like, dude, we're done. Because he kept getting, like, even when there wasn't a pit, like, I was standing right at the stage, and he'd run into me all the time. I saved a few female fans from getting trampled. So I'm like, come here. Like, yeah, like that Thrasher kid. Yeah, it's such a silly dumbass. But, yeah, I've noticed there's I think maybe some of these bands are just starting to get a little more mellow. Like, honestly, like, I like old New Cannibal Corpse and New Napalm Death a lot more than, because I'm not a big grind guy. Like, it all kind of blends after a while, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a certain point to where I'm like, this has the exact same beat as the last song. And I'm pretty good at telling songs apart. And if I can't tell your song apart, I'm like, whatever. Like, that's why I couldn't get into Nostradamus by Judas Priest, because every song sounded the same to a degree. I mean, it was a concept album, but still. So, like, yeah, I like that they're a little more differentiating in their sounds and in their rhythms and stuff. It's a lot more interesting. Now, this song, it's about lawyers. I think so. It's talking about triple speak and triple talk, and like letting them, it's like now that they've triple talked you and they've metaphorically screwed you. Sounds like lawyers to me. What do you think?
No, it absolutely could. I don't know. I know lawyers, and they're not all bad. I know one lawyer today who posted on Facebook he should have been a doctor, and I know doctors that think they should have been car salesmen. So no one's happy. That's the lesson here.
I mean, Barney Greenway is awesome. Like their vocalist, because, like, for example, he wore a Justin Bieber shirt on stage in Russia. Why? Because he's protesting their anti-gay laws, and the gayest thing he could think of is Justin Bieber. So why not? I was like, oh, you clever man.
You're clever, man. So lately, on my days off from work, I get my son fed. I get him dressed, and we get out of the house, and then I go work out. And I have my Spotify workout mix. One of the things that's been happening lately is whether I'm cleaning the house or something, I'm actually doing a lot of like internet radio again. Not Pandora, but I use the especially when I'm cleaning the house, I put on the old Apple TV, and I use their iTunes internet radio. That's how I discovered Avalon's "Hail the Apocalypse," which was the jam as I was cleaning up my house, like a good little house husband. So I've been, that sort of started me on this kick about finding new songs to put onto my workout mix, so that I can continue to be inspired to lift weights, even though I hate it. I absolutely hate lifting weights. It's the worst. But you got to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, lifting weights is okay. I mean, luckily my job of smuggling Mexicans means I have to lift up a lot of big guys. So, Great workout.
Well, I'm trying
like, does your workout mix, is it like, what do you usually do? Because me, I get like Amon Amarth and like really fast driving stuff.
Yeah. Here's a fun segment. What's on Mark's mix? So that song, Hail the Apocalypse by Avalon, which I discovered while I was cleaning the house. Hatebreed, was on there. It's got to be. So, it's Pantera. Let's see, I'm opening up my Spotify now. Welcome to the Metal Hammer of Doom, where I just read you lists of things. Let's see here. Play Q. Now, where are my activities? There we go. Playlists. Workout. Okay. So I've got some Austrian Death Machine, some Bullet for My Valentine, Chimera, some Clutch, Dope, Drowning Pool, Thin Troll, some Five Finger Death Punch, Godsmack, Hell Yeah, In This Moment, KMFDM, Killswitch Engage, Corpaclani, Lamb of God. I've got the Roland Air Raid Vehicle remix of from Limp Bizkit. I've also got the Urban Assault Vehicle remix of Roland by Limp Bizkit and Redman. Your silence upsets me.
Not my
I got some Ministry here, Pantera, Nonpoint, Sepultura, Slipknot, a lot of Slipknot, Soulfly, Superjoint Ritual, System of a Down, Turrisis, This Is Hell, Twar. I've got this song Doing It Like This, which is like someone called Z-Trip took Prophets of Doom and like just recorded over it. Three Inches of Blood, Elven King, Ennisferum, rather. Amon Amarth, Skylit Drive, just that Love the Way You Lie cover. Let's see here. Cancer Bats covering Sabotage. So, that's about it.
Yeah, see things that, like, I totally add Toxic Holocaust, because it's, like, blackened, like, punk. There's Speed Wolf. Imagine Speed Wolf is, like, if you had Motorhead, but a little heavier. Like, it's, like, almost punk, but it's awesome. Mm-hmm. Of course, more Amon Amarth. Yeah, Asator, A-S-T-O-R, off of With Odin on Our Side. I think it'll be good for you. It's really nice and fast. It's got a nice, like, section in the middle. It's headbangable. It's great. Yeah.
Well,
I
it
haven't
has
worked
to
out
be
that.
fast. It has to be. I mean, I can't deal with anything that's even remotely slow or pretty or anything else. It has to be angry. It has to be fast. It has to be something that I would absolutely mosh to, which is where I was going with this because this next one from Napalm Death is the jam, and as we say, this is How the Years Condemn. Like I said, that's the jam. That's a song I can lift weights to. Go ahead.
I think it's about getting older, as the song probably says. Dying. Some deep lyrics. Yeah. Toxic Holocaust and Speed Wolf. I think those will do you well.
I'll check them out.
Oh. But did you ever look up Throssenblatt, by the way? The band, and like if we're reviewing Limp Bizkit, we're gonna review this too. So I remember you said you're gonna make a playlist.
I did.
And you were like, all right, I'll check them out.
I did make a playlist. I absolutely did. It's been sitting on my Spotify list of playlists since we had the conversation.
I have no clue when their album's coming out, so it'll be sometime this year, I hope.
I'm telling you, man, the new Limp Bizkit is going to be life-changing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. It's going to make me even angrier as a person.
We're going to have fun, don't you worry. All right. So unless you have anything more to add here, let's move on to track 5. I'm trying to speed this up so I don't fall asleep during the podcast again.
Yeah, I mean, I got kind of worried last week because I knew once it was like all silence. I'm like, damn it, he fell asleep. At least he cut the song off.
And 12 minutes later.
I was like, oh, damn it. And like fiddling through, like, Blog Talk kicks me out, kicks you out. And we're like, oh, well, at least he gets to sleep now.
Yeah, these 12-hour days can be a bit long. All right, so this is track 5 here from Apex Predator Easy Meat. This is Stubborn Stain. So I know that to one degree or another that there's some punk influence in the music of Napalm Death, and when they start to skew that way, I tend to appreciate the music a little bit more. Because like you were saying, I mean, like I like death metal and everything, but you're right. After a while, it all starts to sound the same. So you have to throw in other elements from other music, or you just get sort of nameless, faithless similarity over and over and over again, and that's not fun. So one of the reasons why I wanted to check out the new Napalm Death is, they usually take some time out to throw some really good, really interesting stuff in their music, and I find that as far as like mosh-worthy, a lot of their stuff definitely meets the criteria.
Yeah. Well, I like punk some. Like, I'll admit the only punk band that I'm really a big fan of is the Casualties. They're pretty awesome, and they went on tour with Toxicology, and so that was a pretty cool tour, I'm sure. But I like their punkier stuff. I like it when they keep some variation though. Like if they throw that in with some of their more death metal oriented stuff, and that they use like a happy medium to me. Like, cause I like there to be diversity in the music. Like, sometimes there's a band like, I mentioned Speedwolf. Like, their entire album is fast as shit and has like awesome solos. It's exactly what you signed up for. Like, sometimes I'm cool with that, but there's other times I like to be surprised. Like, listening to Torture, the album Torture by Cannibal Corpse, I'm like, whoa, they slowed down for a few songs. Holy shit. I mean, that's how Utilitarian by Napalm Death from 2012. Like, that album blew me away because I was like, whoa, they slowed down and they're really fucking good. But they still kept fast for some of the songs. So I like that Napalm Death's a band that's so talented that they can do fast, they can do more of a mid-tempo song, and they're still good. I mean, fuck, reading their lyrics makes me want to go read more of their lyrics. Because, I mean, they're pretty good. So, like, I got to admit, they're good.
What did you come up with for this one?
Actually, there was a lot more, I didn't get much into this one in terms of, because there was actually a lot more reading to do, so I didn't find any lyrical themes in this, mainly because I was like, oh, shit.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to track 6 then. This is Timeless Flogging.
Die!
All right, lyrics, man. Tell me what Timeless Flogging's all about.
Flogging.
What a hobby.
Yeah, it seems to be about getting whipped. Like, I'm sure there's more to it. Because, I mean, this, like I said, there's, like, a lot of different layers to these things. Like one lyric, evidently I'm spared, and this is, I've been spared? Like, question mark, like I'm Ron Burgundy? So, like, yeah, there's stuff, like, they do a lot of playing with the words and adding things to the next line that kind of make it where it's similar to the last line, but totally different. Like, really neat.
Speaking of flogging, you live in the South. Did you get dragged to see Passion of the Christ?
No, but I got dragged to see a fucking play of more or less the Passion of the Christ. See, I thought you were about to ask, did you get out? I thought you were about to ask if I got dragged to God's Not Dead. Oh, God.
No. Well, no, I mean, one of the things about Mel Gibson's Passion of the Christ is that, and South Park kind of made fun of this, it was so graphic and it went on for so long, the beating, that it stopped being about Christ and his sacrifice, and it just became torture porn. So that's what jumped out at me when I saw the title of this. I was curious to see if you'd ever seen the movie.
No, I haven't. I mean, I might watch it sometime. I think I'm starting to get desensitized to all these Jesus movies since they're coming out fucking 6 times a year now. Like, it's getting kind of ridiculous. It's because they make money. Like, God's Not Dead made shit tons of money, and it was kind of an awful film by all accounts that I've heard. Like, even my friend whose parents are super duper Jesus-y, like Bible belters to the extreme, they even didn't like it. And I was like, whoa. But, a lot of people I didn't know too were like, oh, this was a great movie. It's a good showing somebody standing up for Christianity against their dumb atheists. Like, but, it's not even a real person.
So I wonder how much of, the people who say, oh, it was a great movie, only thought it was great because it stood up for, it only stood up for Christianity. And they're not really judging it on the merits of its content or film construction. It's just, it stood up. My thoughts were validated, therefore it's a good movie.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And we've all got those sorts of movies that are kind of exactly how you described. Yeah, this is speaking to me. This is what I think, and it's proving that I'm right, so I like it. But I'm in bumfuck middle of North Carolina. It's not really bumfuck, but it's I get to hear enough about that already. It's funny. I got asked by a classmate once, "Are you an atheist?" I'm like, "No, I love me some Jesus." Actually, they're like, "Why do you always argue and bring up religion?" I'm like, "Because nobody else in this class will." I'm like, "Oh," I'm trying to see everybody's point of. I'm trying to get different points of view in this classroom.
You ever have this exchange where you're like, listen, I like to play devil's advocate, and the other person, and they only hear you say, what, you're the devil?
I'm the white devil, actually.
All right, speaking of white devils, and his loud music, this is track 7, Dear Slum Landlord. not terrible. It's just not my type of song.
But I mean, some of this album, I was reading while I was listening to this album, so I kind of tuned in and out a little bit. I like the song. This song is, of course, about kind of just being mistreated by people above you. You know, the song's about, you know, big strong boss, have a query to raise, with my head underfoot, face shaved on stone, and it's answer enough. You know, stuff like that. It's talking about getting beat, and that's improving me. You know, it's kind of like talking about how the people are taking advantage of you, but you know, oh, I'll take it, and it'll make me better. But it really won't. You know, it's good. Like there's one that says, I'm improved when rhythmically clubbed. Yeah.
I sometimes wonder when bands write lyrics, you know, and they start putting certain words together, if they even know what the hell they're saying, or it's like, I just like the flow of those particular words.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, I've listened to both types of bands. Some of them are like, man, they got, like, you tell this is meticulously crafted. Like, it is like a puzzle piece that they put together just with so much care, and it's, you know, so it has such a beautiful message and everything. And then there's other ones you're like, oh, that rhymes with that. Okay. You're like, that rhymes with that.
Ribonucleic acid freak out the power of prayer. If you can tell me what the hell he's saying, I will give you $1.
Well, then I could buy things for $1. And I could be like, I'd buy that for $1.
I totally said that recently on a podcast.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it was one of the WrestleCasts, and I just like blurted out, I'd buy that for $1.
Well, my buddy Nick, he did that at the job he used to be at, and his manager just burst out laughing because he got it.
All right.
The Royal Rumble. I'd buy that for $1. Probably not.
I wouldn't.
I'd buy that for. I'd buy that for.
No, you know what though? All right, we'll come back to this in just a second. But here's track 8. This is Cesspit. Okay, so that song's the jam too, and as it was playing, well, let me go back to what you were saying before. Yeah, I watched the Royal Rumble, and you know, we just did a WrestleCast up. It's on the Casual Heroes right now. It's casualheroes.net, latest episode of the WrestleCast, and I basically just threw my hands up and said, you know, this is clearly a product meant for children. It's not a particularly well-written product, but it's still meant for children, and the fact that I get pissed off about what's happening is sort of irrelevant. And that's pretty much my takeaway from the Royal Rumble. And then my wife went to school this morning. I sent her on a mission to take a poll of the kids that watch wrestling, and they're like, well, we like Daniel Bryan, but Roman Reigns is better because he's a powerhouse. At which point I texted all the guys in the WrestleCast, and I was like, yeah, I'm throwing in the towel on this one. I give up. It's just there's no counter argument to that.
Nah, I don't. See, like, I always think the argument of it's for kids, so it's allowed to be shitty. I always get on my nerves because, like, dude, there's like we all know there's lots of great stuff for kids that's not shitty and doesn't talk down to them.
Well, hang on. I didn't say it was allowed to be shitty.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying you were. I'm saying when people do use that, like when they're like, well, it's a stupid kids show, you know, and they just kind of like write it off. I'm like, no. Like, it doesn't, that's bullshit. You're automatically saying, well, it's for kids and kids are stupid, so there they are. And I mean, yeah, kids can be stupid, but they're not as dumb as people think. Like, this, I almost feel like the kids should be insulted. Like, that Rumble was boring. Like, it was very boring. Like, there weren't really many surprises. And I know that's me looking at that as an adult, but there was a lot of jobbers. There was no real drama in it at all. Like, it was so bad. Not to mention Big Show and Kane. Nobody cares about them at this point. Nobody.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing.
Like, they weren't working together the entire time. So, like, it wasn't until the end.
For those of you who haven't heard it yet, check out the WrestleCast. Well, and I explained this a little bit further, but I'll give you a little taste now. You know, I said one of my problems with the Rumble is that the spots that they, you know, the interactions that they put in there didn't make any sense. Like, you had Kane and Big Show working together, but that only works if they're working against a particular person. And what threat was Roman Reigns to the Authority? Brock Lesnar is the one with the title, not Seth Rollins. You know, not Randy Orton.
Yeah.
So there was no reason for the Authority to try to dominate the Rumble. You know, they're not. Lesnar's not part of the Authority.
No, and they didn't work together like the entire match. They really didn't until that point where they're like, yeah, let's dump Ziggler. I'm like, okay. Yeah, and let's dump Ambrose and Rusev. Well, not Rusev, but Wyatt. Did they dump Wyatt? Who dumped Wyatt? I don't remember who dumped Wyatt. That's bad. Like, you know, they kept dumping people. And then I'm like, as they're watching by, I'm like, yep, Roman's going to win. Yep, Roman's going to win. And it was down to those three. I was messaging my friend Nick, and I'm like, fuck this. Just fuck this piece of garbage. This was one of the worst Rumbles I've ever seen. Like, you know, I was in a good fucking mood after that title match. Like, that one was one of the fucking match of the year candidates right there. Like, it was absolutely amazing. And then, you know, the Rumble started okay. I'm like, okay, Miz, R-Truth, and I was marking out over Bubba Ray, and DDP came back, and Boogeyman came back. That was funny. But then I was like, okay. Boogeyman came out, jobber. I'm like, oh, DDP, okay, jobber. And then we got some, like, mid-carders. But, like, every fan favorite got tossed out, like Mizdow, 20 seconds, you know. Like, he got tossed out. Ziggler didn't last 3 minutes, which is absolutely horrible booking. Like, Ambrose was pretty much a non-factor. Like, Roman Reigns barely did anything. And then The Rock showed up, and it made no sense as to why he would show up, like, for any other reason than, oh, look, here's The Rock. Don't boo Roman. Like, there was no storyline reason for him to show up. And no,
yeah,
they made
Roman Reigns. And I know, like, you know, Gavin's like, oh, an 8-year-old kid saw that and thinks Roman Reigns, you know, just a superhero. Okay, that's fine, but as an adult, I watch that and go, they made Roman Reigns look like an absolute puss who doesn't deserve to be fighting the guy who took down The Undertaker. Let's stop there.
The guy who opens every match with 14 German suplexes. Oh, and by the way, this song is actually very interesting because it's talking about how people are on equal footing, but that's because their cesspools or their cesspits are just filled with shit. So they put those people on the same level as the other ones, but they're really just built on shit that's going to fall. Interesting.
Right. This is track 9. This is Bloodless Coup. want to send a shout-out to Jesse Stark, too, who's listening at home. Big fan of the Radulich and Broadcasting Network and podcaster in his own right. And they talked about the upcoming Secret Wars reboot of the Marvel Universe and Battle World and what that means to the comic book fans. So go ahead and check his podcast out. He's at home right now, kvetching about the Royal Rumble, just like us. So anyway, I'm at a point where, like, I mean, this is what I said to Gavin and all them. Like, I don't so much care that Roman Reigns won the Royal Rumble. It's just he was undeserving. I mean, I could be a little. Yeah, like if they had, there was so many ways they could have done the Royal Rumble better. You know, they could have made the people that, you know, the people that are fan favorites but weren't going to win the Rumble should have lasted longer. And there's arguments that, like, oh no, it was good to get them out, you know, out of there early, which I don't buy into. I think you try to keep them in there, you know, to keep people invested in the Rumble. Because here's the thing, like if you're watching a race and your horse, you know, dies out in the beginning of the race, you're not really going to be interested in see who wins. Your guy's already out, so it's like why am I?
The other four horses you put money on also die. You're like, why the fuck am I watching this shit? You're gonna start booing and throwing shit at people, like, you know, like it's just so disappointing. And it's funny because, like, I actually didn't watch wrestling for like 6 months. I didn't watch wrestling. I just didn't really tune in. Like, I'd watch the pay-per-views, but I didn't care that much. I think it was when The Rock was champion. Yeah, and I was like, it was right when the Shield was starting to get bigger and everything. I just kind of tuned out. And it's funny that I'm staying in through this, because I think the whole Daniel Bryan thing really brought me back in. And I was like, oh, this is really neat and really good matches. I'm liking it. But like this, it's so fucking infuriating to like a perspective of they could do so much, and they don't. And I mean, damn, I'm getting to the point where I'm like, okay, I'll watch NXT. I'll watch shitty Raw, and then I spend the rest of my time watching New Japan, because I fucking love New Japan. Ugh, so good. And, like, you know, we've got so many good, you should give it a shot, especially now they have some English commentary. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's on Access TV, right?
Yeah, it comes on Friday nights, and I don't have that channel, so I go find other means, to watch it. But it's, you know, it's really like they have was it Mauro Ranallo, the guy who did, you know, the commentary for Pride. Mm-hmm. Him and Josh Barnett do commentary for the Access TV shows. So I mean, they're pretty good. Like, all the matches are, of course, they're great. So it's, you know, it's worth an hour or two to watch if you just want, like, you know, pure good wrestling. It's so good. And like,
well, I know that, like, I got to the point with the WWE where you know, like, I'm not going to just continue to complain about it and be like, well, that's your only option. So I'm making it a point to watch NXT more now, because I was just watching the quarterly, the big shows, and I said, okay, well, I should probably watch the weekly shows so I know when we get to the quarterly shows what the hell I'm looking at. So there's that. I've heard TNA's gotten much better since going to Discovery America, whatever, Destination America. You know, they've turned their product around, so I might start watching that again. And I forgot that.
Pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard Lucha Underground's good. So you know, this whole thing about, like, oh my God, it's the end of the world because the WWE sucks right now. It's really not, because the other side of that is I like watching it with my kids. I mean, Jonas, you know, obviously doesn't react to anything, but a little young yet. But, you know, like, I like watching. Like, the first hour of the pay-per-view, Lily was up and she was watching it, and like I was interested to see who she'd react to. Let's stop there. Listen to track 10. This is Beyond the So like I was saying, it's more fun to see what she'll like. She reacts to Stardust and Goldust. You know, she has no clue, but she sees these painted up guys, and she's like, "Oh my God, those guys are scary." She liked the Ascension. Like she actually had like a visceral reaction. She actually had like a visceral reaction to the Ascension. And I said, well, this makes sense, you know. They're coming out with all this gear on, and they've got their faces painted and everything. And what do kids like? They like interesting visuals. They like colors, you know. You know, she's not gonna like Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler are not gonna do anything for her. They look like dudes, but you know, Stardust and Goldust capture her imagination. The Ascension capture her imagination.
Yeah, I mean, hey, that's pretty cool. I think she'd like Chikara, considering all their wrestling is like so bright and colorful and very comic bookish. Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool that she likes watching wrestling with you. By the way, this song, not sure what it's about. Last song was about police brutality. Pretty cool. It was very interesting. I love the way they weave words. It's really interesting because like they take phrases and like add words, drop words, add question marks. You know, it's like they're doing so much with like very similar phrases, and it's very clever. Almost like how you know, a lot of hip hop artists, rappers, and stuff. They do stuff like that, and it can be really interesting. And they're very similar in that way, which is very weird. I just compared Napalm Death and a rapper, but hey, what can you do? But yeah, like WWE, like it just frustrates me because like I'm kind of feel almost obligated to watch Raw, like just because like I want them to be good, and I don't want to like not watch Raw and then miss something that is good. You know, it's just so frustrating. But you know, I can still watch all my other stuff that's really good, and I can feel content in that. And if I, you know, and at least I can bitch about it. So there's that.
Also, that's what I was getting at before. You know, Raw is what it is. You know, it's a show that's geared for children, written badly by an out-of-touch old man and his minions.
And his
but
minions
it's not
who have like the brain power of children. Dumb children.
But that they're not the only option out there, and you know, it's kind of like with voting. It's like, well, you know, are you going to do anything about it? And then don't bitch. So. You know, like watch NXT, and every time I've watched NXT, I've enjoyed it. And I figure, you know, and I had forgotten that New Japan was on Access TV, so I'll probably give that a shot too. Not tomorrow night though. Tomorrow night is my wife is going out with her gal friends, and I am watching Nightcrawlers and Birdman.
Oh, Nightcrawler's so good.
All right. This is track 11 as we start winding down here. This is Stunt Your Growth, clearly a song about cigarettes. So like a circle pit just opened up in my living room.
Oh, that's not good. Especially how did all those people get in there? You should probably get like some protection. I don't know, throw condoms at them. This song was surprisingly not about smoking. If I'm reading this correctly, it seems like it's talking about how the last verse is, if we waive natural liberties, the GMO literally consume to control. So it sounds like to me that we're talking about how the system and patents and the way that the world's working is that we keep rationing our things to ourselves and cutting ourselves off to where we're we're stunting our growth, financially and stuff like that. Again, interesting things. I need to go listen to read more of their lyrics. Like, seriously. There's like a revelation
Napalm Death, very socially conscious. All right, this is track 12.
I didn't know that.
Hierarchy. Yeah, no, it's very true. Hierarchies. All right, so what did you think about that one, Robert?
I thought it was pretty good. This song is about nature versus nurture. Yeah, and how we have endless hierarchies, and letting the two mix sometimes can get kind of bad. And interesting. It's pretty cool considering I have a lot of classes that do indeed deal with such a topic.
Isn't the consensus that it's not nature or nurture, but a combination of both?
Well, yeah, it's a little bit A, a little bit of B. Like, the way I kind of look at it is, like, I always like to look at things in terms of swords. I don't know why. Maybe I've not got out of Freud's phallic stage. I really don't know here. But I'm like, I always look at it like, you got a sword. Okay, well, we know what the sword's going to do. You can sometimes get a really good sword, a really bad sword. It's just kind of how you're made to do, but you got to sharpen the sword. So, like, sometimes some will do better if it's just a sword and it's not sharpened. That will sometimes do better than a sword that's sword and a little bit sharpened and it's not as good of a sword. You know what I'm talking about. Like, more or less what I'm getting at here is you start out in a certain way, but you also, like, are nurtured in a way that sometimes accentuate what you already have, or it makes you a different person. Like, it's not all just your environment, and it's not all how you are. A little bit A, a little bit of B. Kind of like this, I always think of, like, if I grew up like 100 years ago, would I be any different? Probably. Yeah.
I was reading an article that said that the structure of your household matters less than the income level of the household. So if you are living above the poverty line, your children will be better off in terms of being parented than those who live beneath the poverty line, which I thought was interesting. My wife's reaction to that was, well, our kids are doomed. And I'm like, no, Melissa. Yes, we live check to check like a lot of middle-class people, working class these days, but we are not poor. Okay. Not by a long shot.
Yeah, we discussed that in a lot of my classes, talking about with the poor students, like, because we talked about how some kids, like, they're not thinking about school, they're thinking about, well, where am I going to get food next, and, this, that, and the other thing. And to be fair, yeah, that's what they're going to think about, and they're not, and kids from, more affluent places aren't going to worry about that, so they might be doing a little better. There's a lot of things that go into that. A lot of times, if you have, like, maybe a single mother, single father in one of the more poor neighborhoods, they're going to be working multiple jobs. They're not going to be home to help out with homework and supervise things. So the kids are going to have to fend for themselves. So, of course, they're not going to do as well in school. Not to mention we can get into the whole thing of schools themselves and yada, 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 yada. We could be here all night.
No, we cannot, because I'm going down fast. So,
That's
this
what she said.
Speaking of going down fast, this is One-Eyed. All right, One-Eyed, lay it on me.
I need like 10 more minutes to figure out this, because it's talking about a lot of stuff like the final verses from Plantation, Transplantation, Behind Suburban Curtains, the upshot of their exertions, a vacuum-packed ambivalence, get them off their knees. I keep thinking it's talking slavery. It might be talking slavery. I'm not quite sure. It's very multi-layered. So
right,
there you go.
In the interest of time, here it is, the last track for Napalm Death, Apext Predator Easy Meat. Again, if you like Napalm Death, this was a great album, and if you're not into Napalm Death, not sure why you're listening to this. This is adversarial / copulating snake. I'm going to let you close us out here. What did you think of this album overall?
This is a really, really good album. Like, it's got all, like, the songs. There's, like, some of them are really fast. There's some of them, this last song's, like, almost 5 minutes? Oh, let me get down a little here. Yeah, I think it's almost 5. Yeah, it's a bit over 5 minutes, which is a real surprise for a Napalm Death album. And the first song's about almost 4, which a lot of that was more spoken word sort of thing. But this album, I fully recommend picking it up. It's very well done. The band is still on like the high they've been riding lyrically. They're incredibly interesting and very topical. And honestly, you know what? I would love to see somebody not make kind of break this thing down and maybe present it in something that the modern media would love. I don't know, something. I almost sometimes wish this would be taken into something that's more palatable for a mainstream audience, because I feel like messages like these really need to be given to a more mainstream audience. Like, those assholes really sometimes do need their eyes opened, but it won't happen. Instead, we're going to get awesomely amazing.
In terms of making it more accessible, I have 5 words for you. I'm all about that bass. All about that bass, no trouble. All about that bass, no trouble.
that song's also about like, yeah, it's good if you have a nice thick body, but if you don't, fuck you. That is the exact theme of that song, and that's not a good message. That's not a good message. It's not good to put one group down to raise one up. Instead, we're supposed to bring them both up. That's
my wife and daughter sing that in the car.
So much, like God.
Someday, Robert Cooper, someday, Robert Cooper, you may be married and you may find yourself sitting next to a wife who's singing to you that she's all about that bass, no treble, and you'll have a daughter in the back seat saying that she is all about that bass, no trouble.
Well, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised as to my reaction would probably be, well, if I'm as like I am at work when I have to hear that song, it's me pretty much being like, like just very grumpy, slouched, arms crossed, very much like a annoyed child who has to sit through math class before he can go to recess. Like that is me during like really bad pop music, like that song about the rude song, like, I gotta be so rude. Yeah, that song's dumb. Why? Because he's like, hey, Dad, hey, father of the woman I want to marry, I'm gonna come to you 5 times, and each time you're gonna say no. So instead, I'm just gonna fucking marry her anyways, and thus make the entire song pointless.
All right, man. What do you got in the old Bunsen burner? What's cooking?
I got a lot of shitty pop music, that's for sure. God, I when I think about pop music. Anyways,
if you do not want to hear me snore, get on with this.
Oh boy, snore. He's in a band once. But anyways, of course, this whole good old Radulich Broadcasting Network, love it. There's this podcast, love this podcast. We're here every other Thursday, 10 p.m., 9:30. I don't know. We'll just have to figure out timing, because I think actually on these weeks I'll be working because my Thursday class is every other week. So, we'll just have to see. We'll see what's up. But anywho, there's from the Cheap Seats, Jesse Starcher, Jason Teasley. Love those guys. Usually like Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere like that. About 10 o'clock. Yeah, this week did Super Bowl predictions. My only prediction is I'll be working and not really caring. I mean, I will, but really, the only thing I'm going to care about is how's the Puppy Bowl, because Katy Perry can...
My prediction is that we'll be watching it at... My prediction is that we'll be watching it at my parents' house, and my father will say, I don't understand how you could watch this violent stuff. That man gets hit in the back, he's going to get paralyzed.
God. Oh boy. Sounds like fun. Really.
Hey, yep.
Really. Yeah, I'll be working until about 8, and then that's just in time for the fucking halftime show. God, Katy Perry annoys me.
In 2 weeks, come back here, 10 o'clock, Radulich Broadcasting Network, Metal Hammer of Doom. We'll be reviewing the new Blind Guardian. Hopefully the previous night I'll have slept, so I won't be, sitting here with my eyes shut, fighting sleep as we try to finish off this podcast. And that, folks, is the end of that. Check out all the great podcasts on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. Check out the casualheroes.net. Check out the WrestleCast, which I'm on this week with just Gavin and Jed. Last week we had Pat on there he doesn't have his own podcast as such on the Radulich Broadcasting Network, but he's a frequent guest on just about everyone's show. So go ahead and give that a check out, and hopefully Robert Cooper will get his act together and we'll get another Hentai, Sentai, Friendtai, Fun Time podcast. With that said, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Be well, be safe, and behave.